Thank you all for joining today. I went to Alex Hormozi's $5,000 scaling workshop in Vegas last week. Changed my life, changed my business forever. It was like taking the red pill in the Matrix. What I'm about to share with you could completely change the way you think about scaling your business. It isn't just theory, it's the exact strategy that helped Alex and his team build a $100 million business. And if folks would go on mute as they join, and Tina, if you can say hi real quick, I just want to make sure it's working again. I can see you again.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks. All right. So here's our promises. Every founder reaches a point where hustle alone won't cut it. Okay? There's a difference between those who scale and those who stall. Knowing exactly what to fix next is a big difference. And we promise to give you as much value as we can in this webinar. There's a lot of content. I'm going to aim to name this tune in 60 minutes. I'm going to stick around for half an hour after if folks have questions. If we need to get through anything at the end. We promised Alex's team that we were going to run paid ads with his face on it. We're not going to pretend like we're now business partners because we're not, and we're not here to sell their IP. We're here to teach it for free and then offer you our strategic clarity and matchmaking program if you're ready to scale in 2026. And so why does this matter? It's because most founders aren't stuck. All right. You're making progress, revenue's growing, the team's working hard, everything looks fine from the outside, right? But you might be solving the wrong problem. You're pouring resources into solving constraints, but it's not your biggest constraint. We're here today to help you identify and prepare to fix the biggest constraint in your business. So by the end of the webinar, you'll know what's actually limiting your growth and the real constraint hiding beneath service level chaos. You'll know the precise sequencing that maximizes ROI on your time and capital. And you'll know whether fractional leadership is your fastest path to scale and if Malloy Industries can help you get there in 2026. Hi, I'm Mike. I'll be your guide today. I have previous experience as a Deloitte consultant, traveling sunglasses salesman, startup CEO, incubator program director, and adjunct professor. And I'm passionate about being a relentlessly generous and enthusiastically fun force for good in the world to help entrepreneurs buy back their time and freedom to focus on what matters most, both professionally and personally. But to be vulnerable for a minute, as a result of my mom passing away in the fall of 2021, a week after my wife she was pregnant with our first son, chief cuteness officer, I realized I couldn't be the change alone that I wanted to be in the world and found myself at the forefront of the future of work. This was kind of during the great resignation and quiet quitting era, which led me to be all in that the future.
You muted yourself, Mike.
There we go. I'm back. So thank you for that. Thank you, Tina, for muting everybody else. Therefore, I'm now the CEO at Malloy Industries, and I believe the future of work is fractional. We envision a world where entrepreneurs flourish, free from the work that drains them and empowered by relentlessly generous fractional executives. I bet you're tired of working all the time, trying to solve all the problems with brute force. Been there. I know exactly how it feels. I was up till 2 a.m. last night working on these slides for you. Right? I put more than 20 hours into building this hour webinar, and I can't tell you how excited I am. When I first started as an entrepreneur, I had no idea what I was doing. I made a ton of mistakes, but those mistakes led me to the breakthroughs I'm sharing with you today. All right. I'm an entrepreneur like you. 9 years ago, I was single, broke, and going through business and personal bankruptcy, living in my parents' basement. Not exactly where I pictured life at age 30. I spent the previous 6 years building 41 different iterations of a social enterprise sunglass company, Waveborn Sunglasses. It was a seasonal business with a revolving cast of characters, and I've managed more than 100 interns in my career, and I've taught more than 100 Georgetown interns how to not suck as part of my 3-credit startup internship seminar course. So if you're like me, you probably tried to delegate to junior staff or mid-level staff, and at the first sign of not getting results, you either pull back the reins and kind of micromanage, or you took the entire project off your plate because they didn't do it exactly the way you would. I found myself in this loop over and over and over again. And after 4 straight winters of literally going broke, I had to file for Chapter 7 business bankruptcy. And then I had to do personal bankruptcy for the 350K debt I'd personally guaranteed. After going through that whole situation, I realized the problem wasn't the business model, the product, too small of a market. The problem was how I failed to delegate work to trusted experts, failed to document repeatable standard operating procedures, and failed to design automated systems that scale. I get it. There's so much information out there, but today we're cutting through the noise and focusing on the signal that truly matters. Let's learn the lessons, and you can skip the stars. And here's what entrepreneurs are saying. I've been advising Sarah and her startup for the past couple of years. And at one of our recent entrepreneur roundtables, she literally called me the Alex Hormozi of the DC startup community. Right? Our number one core value here at Malloy Industries is to be relentlessly generous, and we want to help you as entrepreneurs flourish. So before we dive into all of Hormozi's teachings, we've got a lot of new friends on the webinar today. So I'm going to take a quick minute and just kind of explain why I believe fractional executives are the future of work. Fractionals are part-time, long-term leaders who are fully integrated with clients, right? They have a company email address and they attend internal, external meetings. Earlier in my career, I was a Deloitte consultant. That's not what we are now. We don't charge six figures to make a very fancy PowerPoint, hand it to you, and say, good luck. Right? Fractional executives are an ingrained part of the team, and there are a lot of benefits of working with fractional executives, including speed, which we're going to talk a lot more about later, cost efficiency, where you only pay for the expertise you need without all of the overhead, and agility to be able to increase, decrease, pause, or cancel the engagement at any point with 10 days notice. It's not a multi-year long-term commitment like a full-time hire. And I want to quickly show this slide just to compare and contrast what it's like to hire a full-time C-level executive. You could be spending up to 300K for a salary and benefits with all the overhead, and there's no guarantee that's going to work. We actually offer a 365-day warranty where if we match you with a fractional executive and for any reason it doesn't work out, we're going to step in, understand why, and replace them for free. We give you the flexibility to ramp it up and down, and instead of $25,000 to $60,000 of overhead, we charge a one-time $7,500 fee to get started and a $3,300 annual success fee. So you only learn if you change what you do. That is the essence of learning, a change in behavior. Elon Musk talks about this all the time. Your brain wants to forget as much as possible. You're only going to store information when you see something to solve a problem. That's when the learning actually happens. So as we go through this material today, I want you to ask yourself, what behavior am I going to change? I encourage you to get out a note card, pen and paper or something, and actually write down some of the ideas that jump out to you and are most relevant for your business. And by the way, as a pro tip, speaking of changing behavior, only track KPIs that change behavior. What do you do differently if it goes up or if it goes down or it stays the same? If you're not doing anything, then don't waste resources tracking it. My dad has repeatedly taught me that when you do your homework, the test is easy. The only reason I can teach this webinar is because I've done my homework. I've studied the frameworks, I've tested them against reality, I've seen what moves the needle, and I just spent 2 days learning from the GOAT of digital marketing, Alex Hormozi, and his team in Las Vegas. This webinar is my homework, shared generously with you, because when you understand how the game is scored, everything gets easier. Just got the goosebumps. I'm excited for this, guys. I have poured more than 20 hours since the workshop ended, the flight back, the whole weekend, getting this ready. What I'm about to show you isn't theory, right? It's the real scorecard that determines whether you as a founder are building enterprise value in a sellable asset or you're just working overtime at a really hard underpaying job. Sound familiar? And here's a quick quote from one of our clients who's like an extension of our family and has benefited from our collaborative approach to scale his business. Before diving into more of the workshop material, let's cover the foundational concepts from Hormozi's 3 books, $100 million offers, $100 million leads, and $100 million money models in his online courses. I've gone through all the videos and all the courses. I bought, I think, 2 copies of $100 million offers. That was right when Max was born. I remember reading it and listening to the audiobook at the same time and underlining, oh, this is brilliant. And a year or 2 later, he came out with $100 million leads. And I think I bought 11 copies of that, one for me and then 10 that he shipped to me. And then I had to pick and pack and put in notes and I sent him a bunch of our clients. And then, if you don't know this, he came out with $100 million money models in August. And it was a game-changing book. I have it right here. I literally was reading through it this morning, getting ready for this. I bought 1 copy of it, and then he had this big launch event where he so casually broke the internet and broke the world record, passing Obama and Prince Harry for the most nonfiction books sold on launch day. They sold over 1.8 million books in one day, and I actually bought 200 of them to donate to entrepreneurs like you. More on that later. Stay tuned. You might have an opportunity to get the book. So the value equation, memorize it, right? The dream outcome, and let's go back to middle school math. You want to increase the numerator, you want to decrease the denominator so you increase the value, right? The dream outcome is the result your customer actually wants, not the thing you sell. The clearer, bigger, and more emotionally resident that outcome becomes, the more valuable your offer is. People don't buy the best solution, they buy the one they believe will work for them. Social proof, verified process, guarantees, credibility, all increase certainty, which directly increases the value of your offer. The faster someone gets the outcome, the more they'll pay for it. Compressing timelines doesn't just improve the experience, it also multiplies the value. And the less work, friction, and cognitive load required from the customer, the more valuable the offer feels. Done for you beats done with you, which beats do it yourself every time for the same outcome. So when you increase the dream outcome, raise certainty, compress time, and reduce effort, all at the same time, you don't get 10 to 20% better. You deliver 5 to 10 times more value, and the market rewards you for that. All right, so how did most of my friends hear about this webinar? It was likely that from the left column activities here with people you know, right? I did a lot of warm outreach via one-to-one email and LinkedIn DMs and posting free content on social media. On the right column here is cold outreach, sending cold emails or cold calls, as well as running paid ads on different platforms. We don't do a lot of cold stuff here, despite the fact that I am cold, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, living in New Hampshire. We focus on the warmth and working with people who know us. So this could be some good ideas for how you can get more leads. And so if you're meeting me for the first time today, please post the name of who told you about the webinar in the chat so we can thank them. Because some of you are here because our customers, affiliates, employees, and agencies that we work with told you about it. We're grateful to all of them for spreading the good word, and we'll share a few strategies, including the referral diamond later on, that you can use to get more leads from your network. Let me rephrase this. More, better, and new is a fundamental framework that Alex and his colleagues recommended to me every time I talked to them. Because they'd say, hey, what's your biggest constraint? I said, I think it's getting more leads. And they're like, all right, well, what's working now? I was like, well, Mike shows up to events. I'm like, all right, well, how do you do more of that? Every single one of them said, how do you do more of that? And then they'd say, well, what's stopping you from doing more of that? And this became a recurring theme, so much so that I realized that there are more people in the waiting room, Tina, and that we want to do more. 60% of our resources go to making more, doing more of the activities that have already worked, 30% on better, and only 10% of resources on new ones. So if you are earning less than $1 million in annual profit from a specific channel, do more. Not like a little bit more, but like 10 times more or 100 times more. For the past 10 days, I sent 100 LinkedIn DMs daily to existing connections with founder or CEO in their job title to invite them to this webinar. That's just one example of doing more. What's stopping you from doing more? Then we get to better. Think about your funnel. What are the activities that you're doing in there, and how can you improve conversion rate? Your Hormozi team is big on A/B testing and experimenting, and not doing testing 3 things at once, but you do one little tweak, you have 2 variants, you measure it for a week, you see what works, you keep it, and then you test the next thing. So think about where in your funnel does a 5% conversion rate have the biggest impact? And then we get to new. Maybe it's a new placement. Maybe you've been doing Instagram stories ads, and now you want to do Instagram ads in the newsfeed. And then maybe you I want to go to a new platform. So you go from Instagram to YouTube. And then maybe you go to a whole new of the core 4, which, by the way, these are progressively getting harder and harder. And until you get $1 million in a specific channel, they encourage you to keep doing more and more and more with some better sprinkled in. Don't spray and pray and have like 17 different customer acquisition channels. Have like 1 to 3 channels that all flow into one funnel that go to one offer. And that's how you're going to build a productized service or a scalable offering that can grow your business. That's also why everything we're now doing at Malloy Industries, including this webinar, is to educate people about our strategic clarity and matchmaking program, which is how we work with new clients. So let's talk about $100 or $100 million money models. The picture here at the top is from their headquarters in Vegas, and that is the official certificate from the Guinness Book of World Records saying they broke the record. It is an epically good book that talks about 4 different ways to get new customers. You can attract new ones with 5 different attraction offers. And they say yes, you can maximize the transaction value with an upsell. And when you say no, you can recapture some lost sales with a downsell. And then you can build recurring revenue through continuity offers. The payment plan downsell in the book is a gold mine that you can give to anybody on your sales team with 7 steps on how to kind of downsell or offer different variations to still capture that sale. I really like the waived fee for a continuity offer. The anchor upsell of this one's great. There's a great story where Alex was a gym guy. He did not own a suit. As he started doing better in business, one of his mentors was like, you need to get a nice suit. Let me introduce you to my suit guy. So he goes in the tailor and he's thinking, I'll spend like $500 or whatever. They have a very nice suit, his size on the rack, tries it on, looks at the price tag. Holy, $16,000. And he tells the story like he's literally shaking. He's like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" Like my mentor introduced me, and the guy can visibly see that he's freaking out. So he's like, "Oh, why don't you take one off? Let me get you another one. We'll try it on." The next one was $2,500. And he was super pumped to pay the guy $2,500 to get a nice suit, not let down his friend, and not spend 16 grand. Let me remind you that 5 minutes earlier, when he walked in, he was planning to spend $500. So if you have an anchor upsell, this is a way to get somebody to feel better about spending more money with you because they didn't have to buy the super expensive thing. They're kind of getting a good deal. And now let me give you an example giveaway offer. And to enter to win, we'll put a link in the chat right now because you, beloved listener, could win the grand prize, which is a $2,500 gift card to Malloy Industries. And to enter, you just have to complete a 15-minute call by Friday of this week with our team to see if you're eligible for our strategic clarity and matchmaking program. And when you complete the call, you will definitely win a copy of $100 million money models, as we bought 200 copies of them, and they asked them this morning. We have 49 copies left. So if you complete the call this week, but you don't have a copy of the book, let us know and we will mail you one for Christmas. So the first session of the scaling workshop taught us that great CEOs don't work harder, they think differently. The best CEOs look at their business through the investor lens, focusing on leverage, sequencing, and resource reallocation. Whether you want to sell the business in 1 to 5 years, or you want to pass it down to your chief cuteness officer, your kids, your grandkids, it's the same activities that create enterprise value and build great companies. Great CEOs think differently because they think like an investor, not a manager. That shift to the investor mindset was the biggest unlock. Like when you see yourself as the chief resource allocator, your perspective changes and you become proactive instead of reactive. When you're in the business, every problem screams for attention. The angry customer, the underperforming team member, the vendor demanding payment, the product bug, it all feels equally important. Your Slack notifications are blowing up, your inbox is overwhelming. Oh, that sounds too familiar. And everything, and treating everything as urgent is the fastest way to burn out without making progress. You're like Sisyphus just pushing the rock up the hill, all right? They use this analogy, and I've got some fun photos from ChatGPT to compare a house fire to a dumpster fire. Like, you must master the ability to distinguish between what absolutely has to be solved right now, your house is literally on fire, and what to let burn safely, like that dumpster fire out back that can just burn for 6 months. Because is it perfect? No. Is it good enough? And is it not the biggest constraint? Yeah. So just like let it burn. And this is a reminder that proactively putting out house fires is way more impactful than reactively using your scarce resources to put out a dumpster fire when your living room is actually burning down. Not all urgency is created equal. You need to solve the right problem the right way in the right order. One key takeaway from Hormozi's teachings is the theory of constraints. Businesses grow up to their biggest constraint, then no further. If you optimize everything downstream of your constraint, you can work 80-hour weeks, you can hire more people, you can have a ton more overhead, but none of it matters because growth gets choked at the bottleneck. The best way forward to scale your business is to relentlessly attack the biggest constraint. This is one of the most impactful slides. If you want to take a screenshot, by all means, go for it. We will send out the slides within 48 hours in the recording. I won't guarantee that this is your number one constraint based on where your revenue is at, but boy, is it a fantastic starting place. The biggest threat to your business isn't doing nothing. It's doing the second or third or fourth most important thing. The things that you can reasonably argue are a good idea to anyone, including your team, your spouse, except it isn't the best return on your time. It gives you returns. You might grow 20, 30%, things are chugging along. There's a like 3x or 5x or even 10x return sitting out there. It's just harder than the incremental move. So most businesses fail because they work on the wrong stuff. And because they don't work hard, they're doing a lot of hard stuff. I appreciate that. It's mostly because the hardest problems are ones that you usually don't know how to solve yet. And neither does anyone on your team. So you focus on the ones you do know how to solve, like triaging your emails or Slack messages, getting some nice dopamine, rather than beginning the somewhat arduous journey on the path of the unknown. You want to find your number one constraint? Ask yourself this. If we could only work on one thing for the next 90 days that would 3x or 5x our business, what would it be? Not two things, not a handful of things, one. And if you can't answer that question, that probably becomes your first priority coming out of this meeting. And for us, our biggest concern right now is we can't generate enough leads. And as soon as we fix that, we won't be able to deliver without doing everything ourselves, which is why we're both hiring some business development reps as well as some customer success managers to help us fulfill the work that we're very confident will be done as we go into the new year. Currently, we can only take on 4 new clients a month. And we're booked this month. We've already got one booked for January. So we're feeling these constraints while trying to proactively solve them. And here's a bonus from Ned, the VP of Operations at acquisition.com. And while you read these tips, I'm going to share Ned's bio with you. And there's a lesson in here from Alex and his team about how incredibly well they were at, not only do they do it well, but they were trained and they clearly rehearsed it at hyping up their colleagues and giving impressive bios with measured outcomes. It made the 100 entrepreneurs in the audience, who each paid $5,000 to be there, genuinely excited on the edge of our seats and interested in what the next expert had to say. And it didn't leave us wondering why we paid $5,000 to listen to some random guy talk instead of Alex, who was only there for like an hour and a half. So back to Ned. He spent his entire career in and around startups and scale ups, building, fixing, and scaling revenue engines from the inside out. He's been the first revenue hire. He's been the first revenue leader hire. And Ned's partnered with dozens of companies to take them from founder-led chaos to predictable, scalable revenue using proven strategies, systems, hiring, and skill development. He's been fortunate to notch a few real exits along the way. Most recently, he joined acquisition.com as the VP of operations in the advisory practice, and he helps build the systems, client experience engines, and organizational structures that allow companies to scale with excellence. His focus today is leveraging everything he's learned across sales, go-to-market, and people systems to help founders build companies that actually withstand scale. Before ACQ, his last mountain to climb was co-building a home services company, which is hilarious because the man has never lifted a hammer a day in his life. So he was the chief revenue officer there and helped them build and lead the company's revenue team to an 8-figure, that's 10 million plus, year one growth, and then a successful acquisition. They were acquired by private equity in 2023, and he helped rebrand and merge the companies and grew the combined company to over 100 million in revenue in the first year with a $200 million revenue run rate for year 2 before another acquisition. So this man spoke. I paid attention. These are a few of his notes on how to build your team that could be very impactful for you in the new year. So the key takeaway is this sentence, which contains the entire first framework here. Great CEOs proactively reallocate resources to solve the problem the right way in the right order while thinking like an investor. Most founders get 1 or 2 of these right. Scaling requires all. By the way, resources, it's not just money. There are 5 of them: your time, attention, money, energy, and effort. Plan accordingly for you and your colleagues. All right, here we go. We're going to get into the business valuation scorecard. This is going to be a lot of fun. I mentioned earlier that the scaling workshop was just like the Matrix and deciding to take the red pill to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. My ability to view my business and your business like a private equity investor has transformed my worldview. I can't unsee this, and I will be a significantly better entrepreneur, trusted advisor, and investor for the rest of my life. Let me show you. Well, first, let me play a 40-second video from a few weeks ago and make sure that I'm sharing the sound. And Tina, give me a thumbs up. You can hear the sound. No sound. Thumbs down. Okay, hold on. We're stop the share. Thank you for your patience. This is a good, it must be a good live presentation if technology doesn't work right away. We both log off for Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Something we can be grateful for.
No,
and look at our total
sir.
income. That is 2 commas, over $1 million in revenue this year. Let's go.
My God, Mike. We did it.
We're doing it. I just saw that and wanted to share it before the holidays.
Thank you for sharing that with me. That means a whole ton, especially today.
So there you go, fam. Wanted to share that with you. This was literally the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Super exciting for us and the team. And it was right before I went to this workshop. So this is the business valuation scorecard, and that Hormozi's team taught us. So investors, especially private equity investors who could buy your business one day, don't evaluate things. Don't evaluate your business the way founders do. A week ago, I had never seen this and didn't actually know how to calculate the valuation. I knew you were like multiplying some things by some other things, but like, how are we actually going to put that together? And so let me kind of explain the sections here. The top two, you want to earn more revenue, you want to earn more EBITDA, which is kind of revenue minus expenses. And then there are these value adders. You can increase the revenue growth percentage, the yearly revenue retention, your EBITDA margin, your LTV to CAC ratio. All these want to go up. And there are these five value subtractors: key man risk, key client risk, single channel risk, market risk, data risk. This was a key pillar of the 2-day scaling workshop. And now that I understand it deeply enough to teach it to you, I'm 100% certain that this knowledge will create millions of dollars of value for our clients. Type scorecard in the chat if you want us to send you the Google Sheet version of this after the webinar. We'll send it to you if you type scorecard in the chat. I'm not going to send it to people who are just watching the recording. And so, want to hear something really humble? From that pure bliss and excitement of the video I just showed a couple minutes ago to 2 weeks later, I ran our business through the scorecard and calculated that Malloy Industries, the business I've been working on for the past 5 years, is worth negative 6 figures. Well, at least a little later, they told us that the value of your business can't be negative, so we could round up to 0. Okay, clearly I haven't mastered this yet, but that's exactly why I'm teaching it to you, because learning the rules of the game is more valuable than pretending you've already won. Whoa. So every like 30 to 60 minute session at the Hormozi Scaling Workshop, it felt like I rapidly just learned a new skill to apply to help businesses grow. Well, let's dive into the top 6 rows of the business valuation scorecard to teach you how to add value. But before we teach you Kung Fu techniques for adding value to your business, let's share more about when fractional executives can add value. Our clients who engage with us fastest have had an urgent problem to solve because Alice just quit and the CEO doesn't have the capacity to wear her hats on top of the other 3 hats they're already wearing. Other triggers for hiring a fractional include feeling stuck in the weeds or going out to raise your seed, Series A or Series B. You were leading the sales, but now you got to go sell to investors, and that revenue graph has to keep going up and to the right. Or when you go to a workshop and realize that one department is lagging, this is clearly your biggest constraint in the business you need to solve, or you just can't justify the 300K annual salary and benefits for a full-time C-level executive. So by the end of the webinar, you will know what needs to be done to relentlessly attack your biggest constraint. You get to decide if you want to do it yourself, like you always have, or if hiring one of our relentlessly generous fractional executives will help you put it all into practice step by step so that you can scale next year. Here are the 6 value adders, because enterprise value isn't abstract. It's a mathematical result of maximizing the value adders while minimizing the value detractors. Every business decision either adds value or erodes value. The best CEOs obsess over this. So let's break down exactly how this works, starting with 6 ways to make your company more valuable. Acquisition.com explained that the easiest way to make your company more valuable is to raise your prices. Okay, sounds pretty straightforward. And they gave us a really good heuristic for how much to raise your prices. You want to aim to close about 40% of the deals. So if you're currently closing 40 to 50% of your future customers, raise your prices by 50%. If you're currently closing 50 to 70%, double your prices. And if you're closing more than 70% of your customers, triple your prices. I will say this again, triple your prices. Pro tip, you're not going to lose 2/3 of your customers. You are going to cut off the hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating ones, which means you'll have less customers paying you more money to do less work with less headaches. Is that always something you might be interested in? Less customers, more money, less work, less headaches. Okay, that's a pretty good equation there. And I have an offer for you as well. If you need help messaging your customers about a price increase, book a call with our team. Right? I paid Hormozi $6,000 for these 200 copies of $100 million money models, and These 12 secret playbooks that are black books that only I have access to, including one on pricing. And we can walk you through the step-by-step playbook on how to communicate price increases that won't cannibalize your business. Here's a bonus for you, the referral diamond, which gives you 5 at-bats across the customer journey to ask for referrals. These are exact quotes you can use immediately after purchase, during onboarding, halfway through the engagement, at success check-ins, and as you're wrapping up the engagement. Highly recommend you put this into your toolbox. I got another pro tip for you. At the greatest point of motivation is for referrals and testimonials. Here's a great one from one of our CEO coaching clients who's been working with us for the past 3 years. Rachel understands how valuable it is to identify unknown unknowns so that you're going in eyes wide open to the next stage of your business. That's what we can be here to help with. The second value adder is revenue growth, which matters because it tells you whether your business is actually compounding or treading water. We had 105% revenue growth this year, which is pretty amazing. Month-over-month growth shows momentum and validates that what you're doing is working right now. That year-over-year growth is what investors use to judge the long-term trajectory of a business. The fastest way to accelerate growth is almost never more leads. It's pricing, because a price increase flows straight to the bottom line without adding complexity. And when your money model pairs smaller pricing with better sequencing of offers, you create sustainable growth. And here's a related pro tip. At the greatest point of deprivation, you ask for the sale. Here is, we've got a bonus, the marketing bullseye for you. And this is feedback we've been getting from clients like James, who went through the marketing bullseye exercise with us. They've experienced firsthand what it's like to benefit from Malloy Industries guiding you along your growth journey. The third revenue adder is EBITDA. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. What the F is that? There's a joke here that none of it matters without the E, which is earnings, which is basically just revenue minus expenses. If you don't have like a warehouse and a tractor and all these things that need to be depreciated and all that stuff, and you don't have a bunch of like loans you got to pay back with interest, it's your profit. It's like, what made it the bottom line of the income statement? It sounds boring. It's not. Revenue is vanity. EBITDA is sanity. And one of the things we took away from the workshop is that our EBITDA is really low. And our services business should be at about like 30%, and we're at about 5%. So that's one of the big things we're going to be working on over the next year. And here's another bonus for you with advice from acquisition.com's sales rep training program that focuses on call reviews, one-on-ones, role plays, and end-of-day reports. When you do a call review, you watch it, you have one piece of feedback per call. Don't go in there and tell a rep they did 17 different things wrong. What's the highest impact, biggest constraint in their call? Write that down, track improvement. For the one-on-ones, it's up to 2 per day as new reps ramp up. Understand how reps think and do heavy investment on the one-on-ones. Role plays are definitely the most underutilized lever. All right, they're the closest thing to game speed, 30 to 60 minutes daily. Start with wins, then break it out by performance and tier. And the end-of-day reports are quantitative, calls booked, show rate, offers made, cash collected, lead source, funnel stage, expected close rate, and qualitative. What's your emotional state? How's the roller coaster going? And how can we support you and kind of stabilize your emotional intelligence so you show up excited the next day? Fourth revenue adder here, EBITDA margin. This measures efficiency, how much profit you generate per dollar. This is your war chest for chaos, all right? The best CEOs plan for order and prepare for chaos. When market shifts, global pandemics happen, competitors stumble, opportunities arise, that margin gives you options. Pro tip, sell them more of what they just bought. Don't sell them a course on how to build a business like ours. This is a great example of shiny object syndrome, and oh, let me go do this. That is not what we need. Focus and selling more of what we're already good at. The fifth one here is revenue retention. How much the same customer pays you next year. For Malloy Industries, revenue retention isn't about keeping the same fractional executive forever. It's about proactively solving the next problem before our clients know they need it, and being there as a trusted advisor who can shine a spotlight on the steps in front of them. And that's why we came up with this fractional executive growth flywheel, where we'll start with, hey, what's your biggest constraint? And then we go over to, okay, who of our relentlessly generous fractional executives can eliminate it? We've got about 480 to choose from. They'll create and execute a scalable solution. Then we'll train the team and shift it left. We do some double high fives. We'll talk about what's the next biggest constraint. Who can we bring in next? I don't have time to teach the shift left framework. I learned from my friend George, but this is another framework we use with our clients that helps you to relentlessly attack your biggest constraint. Sequencing is the #1 retention unlock for Malloy Industries, and it could be for your business too. Retention improves when the next solution or offer or fractional role is anticipated before the current one ends. Think about the customer lifecycle journey, the customer buying journey, the customer value journey, whatever you want to call it. Your customer is the hero in their own hero's journey. You are the guide. They are Luke, you're Obi-Wan. All right. How can you guide them along that journey and thoughtfully plan and prepare for those stair steps of growth that they're going to go through? LTV to CAC ratio. This is the golden ratio to Alex and his team. We spent several hours talking about all the ways to improve it. I could have made an entire hour just talking about this. That's not the focus. If you want to work together, we will dive into a lot of these things. I did want to make it very clear because most founders that I talk to, especially the early stage, less than 10 million ones, like, I have no idea what my CAC is. Well, here's some food for thought. Your CAC includes all your marketing payroll, all your marketing expenses, all your ad spend, all your sales payroll, all your sales commissions, and all your referral commissions. So that you should be able to add up and a lifetime value, how much people pay you. So, a couple quick ideas. You can raise prices so customers are more valuable. You can reduce churn so they stay longer. And then you can improve your lead magnet offers, ads, funnel sales, things to be more efficient, and a whole lot more. Pro tip that I learned from the workshop, LTV to CAC has a power law. So as you scale, it's going to go down. Early customers come cheap. You've got referrals, warm intros, founder-led sales. But when you scale, CAC's going to go up. You're buying ads, hiring sales reps. There's more overhead. Meanwhile, the LTV might drop if you're serving lower quality customers at higher volume. The math that worked at 1 million won't work at 10 million. And that math won't work at 100 million. So build margin in your model now. All right, lightning round of quotes. One of these is going to blow your mind. A missed opportunity is not a problem to solve. Working on the wrong problem is worse than doing nothing. Say that one again. Working on the wrong problem is worse than doing nothing. Some of the best money you'll spend is deciding to stop spending bad money. Beginners think in binary, yes or no, 0 or 1. Masters think in continuums. This strategy works with like a 60% efficiency in this context, but we probably get up to like 90% with XYZ adjustments. Outwork your self-doubt. This goes back to the rule of 100 earlier. If you can do one action 100 times a day for 100 days in a row, you're going to have no doubt you're going to be successful and you're going to get what you need. So this may be counterintuitive for founders. You're used to taking risks, betting on yourself, pushing into uncertainty, but investors are the opposite. They want predictable, repeatable cash flow with minimal downside risk. The lower your risk profile, the higher your valuation multiple. De-risking isn't about playing it safe, all right? It's about systematically removing the vulnerabilities that make your business fragile. Here are the 5 value detractors to solve and make your company less unvaluable. Key man risk. If you leave, what breaks? If I leave, this business is going to be in trouble. Luckily, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. But it became very clear that we need to build some redundancies because every founder is initially the bottleneck. All right, you're the product expert, the closer, the visionary, the firefighter, the HR department. If the business can't run without you, it's not that valuable. It's a glorified, probably underpaying job. Key man risk is the #1 value destroyer for founder-led businesses. Investors discount heavily. There was a -3, by the way, if you have key man risk, because they know that if you get hit by a bus, their investment evaporates, or if they buy it and you don't work there anymore, it's going to be really hard to replace you. And you can't sell a business that doesn't work without you running it. And guess what, guys? You can't clone unicorns. The good news is you don't need to clone a unicorn. You need to build a team of specialists whose combined output exceeds any single superstar or founder. So instead of looking for another unicorn, get some horses, some rhinos, and some fireflies, and allow them to specialize in what they do very, very well. And you can build a much more resilient business that can operate long after you ride off into the sunset. Second big one is key customer risk. If you lose one whale and your whole business is in danger, it's not a good sign. You have key customer risk. If one customer represents more than 20% of your revenue, you don't have a business, you have a dependency. And when they leave, and that may at some point happen, your valuation is going to kind of crater. Investors want diversified revenue streams, portfolio of mid-sized customers, way more valuable than one giant contract. We did go through an exercise of like, do you want to go after whales or minnows? And you get like a bunch of minnows and whales. The consensus in the room was, let's just go after a bunch of whales, because then if everybody's a whale and you lose one, All right, that's fine. And this is kind of selling to enterprise versus SMB or direct to consumer. You can think about it that way. Remember value adder number 5, revenue retention. Here's a pro tip that if you have high revenue retention, that lowers single channel risk because it buys you more time to find another channel. If 80% of your leads come from one source, Google Ads, a referral partner, one social platform, the founder's network, you're fragile. Algorithm changes or competitive shifts can kind of kill you overnight. So, what I want to note. That being said, do not spray and pray across several channels if you're earning less than $1 million in total revenue. Focus on more better in your best performing channel until you break 1 million ARR. Market risk is the one risk you can't fix with execution alone. You can, if you're a great CEO, proactively reallocate your resources outside of shrinking, constrained, or disruptive markets. If you don't have a system that pushes real-time metrics on revenue, churn, LTV to CAC, unit economics, you're flying blind. Investors and acquirers need data integrity to underwrite risk. Spreadsheets lie, they're out of date the moment they're created. Real businesses run on automated dashboards and single sources of truth. Malloy Industries has fractional COOs, ops managers, and executive partners that can help you move beyond the Google Sheets empire and reduce your data risk. So Alex and his team talked a lot about this women in the red dress analogy several times in the workshop. I didn't know exactly what they're talking about. I had to ask ChatGPT what it meant. I realized it was one of several Matrix references. After day 2 of the workshop, I rewatched the Matrix and now see so many parallels on how to scale companies. Do not get distracted by the woman in the red dress, or the man in the tuxedo, or the squirrel, or the shiny object. They're all look exciting and like, oh, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We should go do this thing. But they're not solving your biggest constraint. All right. They're designed to pull your focus while the real threat closes in on you. And saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones is the ultimate CEO discipline. You also want to focus on these 7 deadly sins that can kill your business if you don't add focus. You need the right avatar, you need good data, you need focus. Don't overexpand, don't overcompensate or undercompensate, don't underprice, and beware of the single product risk. Now let's look at these invisible walls that the acquisition.com team sees at each revenue band. This in and of itself is worth the $5,000 to just know that as I recently entered the 2 comma club in the $1 million to $3 million range, I'm in the swamp and I need focus. I need to simplify. I need to say no to new initiatives. Right? If you are below $1 million, your money model doesn't work yet. Right? To be blunt, you got to fix it. And the fix isn't work harder. It might be breaking it down and rebuilding the model from zero. Stop trying to like outwork a fundamentally unstable structure. At the level we're at, I have to be super vigilant against scattered execution and kind of stalling momentum with like, hey, let's go write a book and let's start a school community and let's have a business development mastermind and I'll teach new things every week. Like, a week ago, I was going to do that. Definitely not doing that anymore. I'm going to focus on our strategic clarity and matchmaking program and having all of our clients meet with me to do a scalable operational maturity assessment to make sure that they're a good fit for it and bring them in through there to work with some of our relentlessly generous fractional executives. When you get to the $3 million to $10 million range, the founder is still doing too much and you can't afford the full-time C-suite yet. The founder's still taking sales calls, putting out fires, managing humans who do the work. You can't solve this by hiring a ton of full-time C-level executives or a bunch of hardworking generalists. The business needs real capacity. And if you're smart, you can get the most bang for your buck by investing in fractional executives to lead departments that your current team lacks the expertise in. And then when you get to the $10 million plus, you need to hire A players. If people are going to join you at that stage, they care more about the mission and vision than they do their compensation. Pro tip, your vision must be so big that other A players' vision can fit inside of it. You need this to retain A players for the long term. Our vision? Malloy Industries believes the future of work is fractional. We envision a world where entrepreneurs flourish, free from work that drains them, empowered by relentlessly generous fractional executives. Our vision is big enough to fit more than 450 relentlessly generous fractional executives inside of it. Is your vision big enough? Now let's circle back to the OG value equation and the 3 vectors of value. Speed is the lever most founders ignore. They obsess over features, pricing, and positioning, and they forget that faster results create pricing power. Disney charges more for the exact same rides, just shorter wait times if you get the skip the line pass. The experience on the ride, aka the dream outcome, is identical. The value's in the speed. Your customers are paying for results too, not hours. The faster you deliver, the more you can charge. This is why fractional executives command premium rates. because they solve problems in weeks instead of months or quarters. Speed is about getting to the same outcome faster. You're not increasing scope, you're compressing time. Right? Founders don't actually buy effort, they buy relief. Speed removes uncertainty, second guessing, and months of trial and error. Compressing timelines creates immediate value. Something normally takes 6 months to figure out and solve. You can help someone get there in 1 or 2 months. You didn't just save time, you reduced risk. Right? Speed changes the economics of the decision. When clarity and momentum arrive faster, downstream decisions happen sooner. Hiring, pricing changes, fundraising, or exiting bad strategies. This is why customers pay a premium for speed. Time has real value. Delays cost opportunity, energy, and confidence, not just money. The fastest path is rarely do it yourself. Speed usually comes from experience, pattern recognition, and avoiding mistakes you don't even know you're about to make. This is where and why and when fractional leadership wins. You're not paying for hours, you're paying to skip the scars and learn the lessons faster. At Malloy, speed shows up as clarity first, execution second. So now that you understand the steps to elevate your business using these frameworks, how would your business change if you applied them consistently? Imagine being able to finally break through the roadblocks that have held you back. How would this impact your revenue and your growth? Let's talk about how you can take action and accelerate success. Are you ready to get the structure, support, and tools to put into practice with the guidance every step along the way that we talked about today? This is where our strategic clarity and matchmaking program comes in. We've got a 3-step process to work together, and it starts with a quick 15-minute discovery call with our team. And as I mentioned earlier, anybody who completes a discovery call by Friday, the end of this week, they are going to be entered to win a $2,500 gift card and a copy of $100 million money models. Right? Once we confirm you're eligible and that what we do could actually help you, our team will schedule a 1-hour scalable operational maturity assessment with me. We'll pinpoint the biggest constraints that are limiting your growth. We've talked through some of them on the call today, and we have a very in-depth diagnostic process. So you'll know what to fix next before hiring anyone, and you'll decide if you want to work together. If so, we have our strategic clarity and matchmaking program. It's a 6-week program with a $7,500 investment. You go from being overwhelmed and uncertain to actually having clarity about what you need to do. That operational clarity plus the executive execution leads to scalable growth. The name of the game here, ladies and gentlemen, is scalable growth. We want you to be able to scale your business to add a zero on the ends of things without having to work twice as hard. All right, you may actually have to work less to bring in other smart people who can come in and build the company with you. And so here's a sneak preview of the scalable operational maturity assessment we did for a client looking at their operations. Is in 1 hour, you'll replace uncertainty with strategy and chaos with clarity. And there are 3 things that most CEOs never get when they're hiring executive leadership. It's operational clarity, to know exactly what's blocking your growth. And that has been a theme of this whole workshop is how do we identify your biggest business constraint? And then how do we match you with the best, relentlessly generous fractional executive who has the industry expertise and experience to solve your unique needs? And the third thing that we offer that nobody else in the market does is a leadership safety net, which means our second match-free guarantee. If your fractional executive isn't the right fit within the first 365 days for any reason, we'll replace them for free. All right. We'll bring in our team to understand why. And by the way, we don't just match them and right off in the sunset. We're with you every week along the journey. We have our fractionals do a TPS report, which is a little bit of what did we do last week? What are we doing next week? Hey, client, here's where I'm stuck. I need help. Here's my schedule. It's also an office space joke. I hope many of you got that. It stands for Trust Building Progress Snapshot. But our goal is that you are never alone. We're there to monitor the progress. Our chief of staff and client success team checks in monthly with client and fractional executive. How's it going? And you also get to spend an hour with me every quarter to do a strategic business review. And most of my meetings over the next week before Christmas are doing those strategic business reviews with our clients, recapping this year and really looking forward to next year and where do folks want to go. So we've got everything you need to scale with the SOMA, the 60-minute strategic business review. We give you a prioritized 365-day vision and action plan, ideal client profile, and go-to-market operating system review. We will source and vet and interview and recommend the best fractional talent for all of your needs. You'll also get access to our CEO scaling toolbox. And we've got more bonuses that we sprinkled in throughout the presentation today. There's the referral diamond, the marketing bullseye, the sales rep training, hiring pro tips and more playbooks, how to add focus, and the shift left framework. All of this is a one-time investment of $7,500. Again, it's 100% satisfaction guaranteed. And we want you to stop reacting to the daily fires and start building systems at scale. Because in just 6 weeks, or less, we'll be able to pinpoint exactly what's holding your business back, give you the prioritized action plan to fix it, and match you with the best fractional executive you need to execute. The strategies I've shown today are great, but if you want to fast track your results, you need our help. And this offer is only available to those who are serious about taking action. You can book your call right now with our team on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday this week, and then you've got a chance to win the $2,500 gift card. There's no commitment or cost associated with doing those 15-minute calls. We want to see if it's a good fit for both sides. And this offers for you if growth feels fragile. You might be stuck in the business instead of able to work on the business. If you feel like you're the bottleneck, kind of choking growth in multiple parts of the business, and you know you're missing the specific executive capabilities, whether that's a CFO, COO, CMO, to get to the next level. Brute force doesn't scale. If you recognize these symptoms, you've hit the limit of what you can do with your current team. And here's a little bit about what some of our clients are saying about the opportunity to work with us, the positive impact that we've had on them and their business. We have some more happy clients as well. Friend Alex said this was literally the best decision of the year. And this is our special webinar offer. And to be vulnerable with you, we did our homework at Hormozi's workshop and realized that our biggest constraint is delivering the strategic clarity and matchmaking program. It's currently all done by me and our chief of staff, Tina. And so we limit our intake to ensure every founder gets the deep attention, customized strategy they deserve. It's a highly specialized diagnostic and matchmaking process that requires our full focus. And the next step is simple. Click the link in the chat to get started now. This is your chance to get access to a strategy that's already proven to work for people just like you. And you've got this. Let's take the leap and get started today. So in 15 minutes, we'll help you identify your biggest constraint and whether the strategic clarity and matchmaking program is right for you. No pressure, just clarity, and an offer to help you stop juggling it all yourself. And we've got 4 spots a month. We've already booked one for January, so we have 3 spots left. And with that, I will now open it up for Q&A from the audience.